everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So happy to have you back here, or if you're new here, so happy to have you here. This is Stick Words, spreading truth and inspiring change, and I hope the message today sticks with you. Okay, let's get right into it. Okay, so today I just want to talk to you about this book that I finished reading, which is called 2000 Years of Christ's Power, and it has 5 volumes. This is the first volume. So the first volume is the age of the early church fathers. So it talks about what are the occurrences in Christianity from the 1st to the 6th century, and just gives a breakdown of the different controversies, the apostolic church fathers, the different people that really brought out the Christianity that we see today, and their life, the key teachings that they had, and the different pestilence basically that the Christian church had to endure during those times. So it's a very, very interesting book, a recommended must read. So yeah, I'm not going to go through everything about the book because I want you guys to actually read it. But one of the things I'll just quickly touch on a few points I drew out of this book and I got out of the book that really inspired me and made me kind of analyze where we are today in Christianity and try to see maybe something that we can learn from that and see how we can improve our work with God. So yes. So I'll just go straight into some of the points. So first of all, in the I think it was the first century, between the 1st and 2nd century AD, there was a period where the Christians of that time, there's a way they lived their lives that really touched me. They were so set apart from the pagan nations around them. I'm talking of like the Roman Empire. They had like the eastern part and they had the western part. But in the Roman Empire, they were set apart from the pagan culture of the Roman Empire, and there were some things that they abstained from doing that they felt would make them not to be closer to God. And they had this strictness of culture, which is something that I feel is definitely lacking in the Christian church today, but it's something that maybe we can also learn from. So basically, things like the Christians then refused to work in the school system because they felt the school system were teaching the pupils or the students about pagan culture and pagan religion, so they were not going to like associate themselves with that. And then I just tried to mirror that to how we are today, where sometimes if you're working in a school today and you're told to teach about things that are anti-creation, the God of the Bible, and we still agree to do that because it pays the bills. But these are things that back then they separated themselves from because they were like, I'm not going to teach this against my faith. I feel like more and more Christians should speak up if they feel teaching evolution is something that is against their faith or their belief. They should speak up and say, okay, I'm not able to do this, because people should have freedom of belief basically, and they should not like contradict with other things that you can teach and other people can learn from you. So that was one. And then the other thing was that they also turned down a lot of jobs, like people that were craftsmen, like goldsmiths, craftsmen, artists. If a pagan person was asking them to like draw a pagan god or craft a pagan god, they would turn down those jobs and say that this is confused with my faith. So it's just a question of knowing that there are certain kind of money that you can get, but if it conflicts with your faith, are you able to turn down those things? Like maybe if as an artist that they told you to draw something that you felt is against your beliefs, and you just say, oh, the money is good, I'll just do it. Or other things. I feel like there's a lot of times when we find ourselves compromising on what our belief system is because we feel like we separate our work life or what brings up our daily bread from our belief system. And I think both of them should be intertwined. And that was really deep. That really touched me. And I also did use that to do some self-reflection on myself as well. Like, even if I'm working, if there are some things that I have to bring out that really conflicts with my belief system, let's say in the way a company's policy is going, and I feel like it's against my belief system, would I actually stay and do that just because I'm like, okay, it's just one time or it's just once a year? Or would I say, no, I need to find somewhere else? So it's a deep question, for everybody to think about. But I mean, and pray about and ask God for guidance, because it's not like one size fits all. But I think it's something that we should definitely, do some retrospective thoughts about. And then the third one was about the military. So a lot of them, they didn't believe in killing other people. So back then they didn't believe in killing other people, so they refused to join the military or become soldiers and things like that. But then later on, they started accepting Christians to be soldiers. But I just thought it was so deep, because even I mean, we're trying to preach love, and killing is not something that we should condone. I know, like, sometimes it can be self-defense, and this is very, very debatable, but it just shows how deeply they felt about the importance of life and just about their belief system, that they just wanted to just live right. And even if these things conflicted with their source of income, their daily bread, they said they just believed that God was going to provide for them by another means, because they're making the right choice. And I just like that fervent thirst for doing the right thing for God and making Him proud in every way we live our life, in every facet of our life. And I just felt that was so inspiring, and it was so deep for people to do. And I think more of that kind of spirit, we need that kind of spirit in this time and age that we are in. I think we're losing that touch of trying to be set apart and not trying to conform to society, but to be out of this world, in this world but not of this world. So just try to people will know that you're different from the way you live your life as a Christian. And also there were another, so that part was part one, which is about how they separated themselves. And then the next part is, for me, that really touched me, was how they fought against heretical doctrines. They really, really fought against all heretical doctrine, just trying to make sure that the truth of God is preserved for us to this day. So it's wholly preserved, and there was no heretical thing coming out of nowhere. They tested every spirit. They listened to the word of Jesus when He said, "By their fruits you shall know them." So when the Gnostic came out with their doctrine of having like some form of hidden knowledge, they labeled it heretical. They said this is not right. They did a lot of testing and research to know that, okay, what they're saying is not actually in line with the Bible. And it was just like so interesting how they were just so dedicated to purifying the word of God the way it was, and making sure that everything was from the Bible. So I really, really found that very interesting and fascinating. And then the next thing was which I really, really, really liked, was how they honestly tried to really understand God, really understand the triune God. So this is where all the Trinitarian doctrine, and also understanding not just God, but like the nature of God. Is Jesus God? Is Jesus the Son of God? There was the Arian controversy, which was about the controversy. The Arian people were the people that believed that Jesus was the Son of God, so He wasn't like God the Father. And then the rest of the, I forgot if they're the 19 people or so. I forgotten what they were called, but they believed that Jesus was God, and Jesus was in the same divine nature as God, but they were three distinct persons and but one divine nature, so one God basically. So just my whole point is the fact that they were so, interested in knowing God, the interest in knowing God. Like, it just seemed to me back then it was not really about so much about miracles and getting some things from God. What God can give you was more about dedicating your life to God, you sacrificing for God, and you knowing God. And this is something that I feel is really missing right now, because most times everybody's trying to pray, everybody's trying to come to God, especially what I see from my people in Nigeria and all over the world as well, is more like trying to get something from God. What can we get from God? How long can we pray? Do we have to pray by 6 a.m. every day? You have to pray by 12 midnight. Like, doing a lot of things to say, after I do all these things, God is going to answer my prayer and give me this thing. So this is what I need to do to get from God. I have to fast for 40 days. Don't have to do this just to get stuff from God. Not because they're trying to really dedicate their lives to God. They're trying to really know God, know what makes him happy, know what's in his heart, know what he wants from us, know what he requires from us. It's more about what can I get from God. And I think that's something that we should try and avoid, because the most important thing is not about getting stuff from God. It's about knowing God's will for your life, knowing his plan for your life, and living according to his will for your life. That's the most important thing. At the end of the day, Paul said, "Oh, that I might know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection." He really, really wanted to know God in everything, like not in the power of his miracles towards me, but basically in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. So I think we need to focus on not just in what he can do for us. I mean, God is always blessing us. He gives us miracles. He cares about us. He said he has good gifts for us. He has good plans for us. He cares. He will clothe us even more than the lilies. He cares about us more than the sparrow. He says all these things, so we just have to just trust him. But at the same time, as much as we can also make our request known to God, which there's nothing wrong with, but I'm just saying, like, nowadays I see a lot more focus in getting stuff from God than actually understanding and knowing more about this God and his nature. And it was just so enriching to see how they were trying to decide what kind of nature, how many natures does Jesus Christ have. He has a divine nature, he has a human nature. Is it fully God? Is it fully man? Is it just man? It's like they were just so interested in knowing, like, understanding the theology of what we are believing and trying to make sense out of it, if you understand. But I think most people right now, we're not really care about making sense about making sense out of what we're believing. We'll just believe it, and we just know that this is a real God. We know that this is the God of creator of the universe, and we know that he cares for us, and he asks us for, when we ask him for things, he gives things to us, and we just know that he answers prayers, and we're just trying to take advantage of that. And yes, I want us to come out of the mentality of seeing God as a genie. He's not just a genie that you rub him the right way and he'll just give you what you want. He's someone that actually says that I want you to know me. Now I'm a God that gives loving kindness, is merciful, good judgment. He described himself and he said, this is what I want for you, that you truly know me, and you should be holy as I am holy. He wants us to live righteous lives, present our bodies as living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto him. So these are the things that please God and make him happy. And yeah, I'm just thinking of when Solomon, I just remembered when God asked Solomon, what would you have me give you? What do you want from me? Ask me of anything and I will give it to you. And Solomon could have asked for money, riches, judgment upon his enemies. He could have asked for all these things and said, oh, give me the biggest money, the things that we currently pray for and ask God for. He could have asked for that, but what he asked for was a wise heart and understanding heart to be able to govern the people of God. And this thing really struck to me. He said God was pleased, like it pleased God to hear that. And these are the things that please God. Is like not about thinking about ourselves all the time, like what can I get, like me. It's about think about other people, think about things that God, because you know God, these are the things that he is after his own heart, and those are the things that he wants us to look forward to, not things, materialistic things all the time or other things. So yeah, I honestly feel like we need to also examine ourselves and see how we can improve that. And then lastly, I just want to briefly touch on the lifestyle of the bishops and the presbyter in those times. It was so interesting. In fact, one of the interesting things about that is that for some reason, which I don't actually agree with, they felt that, being in a marriage and having, intercourse with your partner was not pure. In a way it wasn't pure, so they felt you need to separate yourself from sexual things and sexual desires because it takes you away from God. So that was their belief system. I mean, I kind of see where they're coming from, in the sense that when Paul said, a single person devotes themselves to God, has time to devote themselves to God, but a married person is caring about the things and how to please her husband and how to please their partner. So I understand where they're coming from. So they're trying to devote themselves fully. But it was just quite interesting that they really truly believed that they needed to separate themselves from all that, to devote themselves fully to God in that aspect. And also, apart from that, their lifestyle, they were very minimalist. They weren't about making money or being extremely rich. They always thought about giving to the poor, helping people. They were just very, they were most of them were in what we would call today monasteries, just living very simple lives. And it was just so interesting because right now we have this day and age, we have the prosperity gospel and pastors just trying to get as much as they can from their congregation, or trying to make their congregation get as much as they can from the world, and everything's about money, getting more. But these people were more about living a life of simplicity. As long as they had what they need, they were fine with it. But the most important thing is the impact that they had. They focused on learning, they focused on growing, they focused on knowing God, and they wrote a lot of papers and books. They wrote so much that we are still learning from today. So that for me is an amazing impact. So I just wanted to just touch briefly on that. So yes, that's why I want to talk to you today. So I want us to just self-examine ourselves and see how we can make choices that make us come closer to God, and not really focus on money and all these unnecessary things. Basically focusing on the things that last forever, which is God, which is loving God, knowing God, making ourselves available to Him. So I really hope that my take, or the things that I got from this book would really inspire you to come closer to God and know that we need to focus on knowing Him. That's the most important thing, not on all these other things. So thank you. See you next time. Bye.